Order, members. I am sorry to interrupt the debate tonight. Earlier, the House was asked to vote on the Minister's amendment to Part 4 set out on SOP number 108. I incorrectly gave the result of that vote as 66-44. In actual fact, it was 77 in favour and 44 against. I call Clayton Mitchell.
Chair, I stand on behalf of New Zealand First to take a call in Part 5, which is the miscellaneous provisions, and we do actually have a couple of things to talk to. In fact, we've got two supplementary order papers, 110. And I would just like to start by commending some of the words that the Speaker previous to me has just said, Mr Ian Lees-Galloway, and he brings up the work groups as being some concern. And we spoke earlier about those work groups and about the appointment of those work groups, and if there was any sort of ambiguity about how we're going to determine what those work groups are going to look like and what they're going to consist of, we actually had a supplementary order paper in to do that, which was, of course, Clause 66 in Part 3. But we've sort of moved on from that now, and it was unfortunate that we didn't get the support from Labor on that, because that would have addressed this issue about getting WorkSafe to resolve any issues as an independent arbitrator in that instance. But now, Mr Chair, I'd like to move on to what we've got some concerns about, and have got a number 2 supplementary order papers and 110 to help amend that. And it relates to section 227, further provisions relating to regulations. And look, we've had some fantastic discussions in Select Committee about some of this, but we've also gone out and done a lot of research with the people that this section may well and truly affect. And we're talking about federated farmers. There's a united front there that have some concerns about this part and provisions, and hence we've put our provision forward. And what it's got here, Mr Chair, is further provisions in 227 section 1. Regulations made under this Act may impose similar or additional duties on a person in relation to the same circumstances as this Act does, be of a general limited application. The parts that concern us is section D, apply differently to people of a differing age or health status, and may apply only to people of a particular age or health status. And E under 227.1, apply differently to different classes of person, workplaces, plant structure, substances or kind of risk. The issues that this may raise is in relation to a workplace that is considered dangerous, and shear milking is not considered dangerous, farming and other likes, but where you've got a father and a son, or a family member going out to feed out or to create hay, make hay. And in many cases, as I was one of those young children on the farm, used to drive the tractor for the farmer, who was actually a very close friend, and I used to work with his sons. Now, this section may well stop that from happening if I was under the age of 15 years old. It may also have an effect, Mr Chair, if you consider working in takeaways, for example, if dangerous plant or equipment was seen to be a chip fryer, which of course it could be very dangerous, very, very hot oil and fat, may actually preclude young people from actually working in those fish and chip shops and the likes. It also goes on and may have some implications around young people working or goodness me, in a lavender farm, or even working in a butterfly factory. I say that with a pinch of a smile, Mr Chair, but it certainly does have some issues. So what we're proposing here is to replace clause 2271D on page 146 with our supplementary order paper here, as saying, applied differently to people of a different age, but only in respect of machinery or equipment, and may only apply to people of a particular age. So this particular age might be different to what the other age is saying, of a much younger much younger age. And of course, in DA we've got here, apply differently to people of a differing health status or physical capability, and may apply only to people of a particular health status or physical capability. We see this as being a serious issue in and around some of those workplaces, particularly in farming situations where, of course, young family members are actually involved in the day-to-day running of that farm. It may also include those PCBUs, the workers, the bosses, the parents of young children that go and, of course, do work experience on deemingly dangerous areas such as a workshop, if it's a building workshop or something of the likes, or somewhere where there is hazardous substances around. And I don't think we should be precluding that work experience, that engagement with those young people and stop them from entering those workplaces, as I think that will have a detrimental effect in the long term. Mr Chair, we have another supplementary order paper, which is 2272 on supplementary order paper 110. And this here is about well-intentioned acts, if you like. So we've got a situation where you're working on a farm and you've clocked off for the day and you're driving home and you see that one of the sheep may have escaped inadvertently, Mr Chair.
I call Clayton Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Where you see an animal that may have escaped inadvertently, and so you pull off to the side of the road, and with good intentions you actually, although you're off the clock, you actually try to remedy the situation by getting that animal back into its pen or back into the place where it could be. And under this Act at the moment, that could actually put the boss, the PCBU, or be them not on the clock, and the worker in a situation of getting into a fine or trouble, or being basically being in breach of this condition. And what we would suggest is that we put in this regulation number 3 after 227, regulations made under this Act may not hold people liable for any consequences arising from well-intentioned voluntary acts. So in the event of getting that stock in the road, there was an accident or there was a problem with getting that stock, they get hurt, that would preclude the PCBU, the boss if you like, and the worker from any legal action or any wrongdoing or being culpable in any way. Mr Chair, I think there's a lot of what's been put forward in this regulation in the Health and Safety Reform Bill that actually does work, and I think in general terms it will work. However, I think that it could be done a lot better, and I think if we could actually get some support from a number of these amendments from the government, we would actually see a happier people out there, the people that are actually working and living and breathing this, some sensible, sound supplementary order papers and amendments would actually go a long, long way. We're disappointed that we haven't got a number of our supplementary order papers supported to date, but again, here is another piece of sound, common sense advice that we're giving forward that would actually make a huge difference in the long run to make this more palatable as it goes through to date. Mr Chair, thank you very much for your time.
I call Stuart Nash.